Hello, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the German line. This is the Tier VIII, the Tiger II Heavy Tank. And we have a complete guide. We're going to look at the tech spec first, and as always, we're going to use blitzhanger.com. Now, firstly, let me say that I like the German heavy tanks in Tier VIII. I'm not a big fan of the Russian tanks, the IS-3, IS-5, IS-6. That's a very personal preference, by the way, and I can tell you why. When I started the game, I bought an IS-6. I made a mistake that a lot of people make, where I thought that it's a race to get up to tiers. I bought an IS-6 when I only had played like 100 games or something like that, and I lost abysmally in it, and I grew to hate the tank, but largely that was down to me. But since then I really just can't get to like the IS series, but with the possible exception of the IS-8 in Tier 9. But that's just a personal preference, you know, and there's nothing wrong with the IS tanks at all, and there are many great players who really enjoy them. I'm just not one of them. So anyway, here we go, looking at the Tiger II. The Tiger II is a very, very good heavy tank. I will load it out with supercharge and refined gun. The reason being that the muzzle velocity increases to 1400 meters per second, which is phenomenal. So you will pen almost everything with that muzzle velocity. Plus, for long range sniping, you are not going to lose very much penetration over distance. It has a big gun and the top tier gun, which I'd recommend that you get as soon as possible. And this allows options on the shell selection. Why? Because on the HE, as you see, you've got 60 millimeters of pen, which is pretty good, and that's going to pen all light tanks and most medium tanks on the side and back as well. So you've got a lot of options with this gun. So load up HE. The top gun, I believe, is by far the more superior one. So you've got an 88mm option, you've got the 10.5cm option, or 105mm, and you've got two types of that gun. And you get a faster reload on the shorter barrel gun, but the muzzle velocity, etc., is much lower, and you're going to pen a lot less. So while it's telling you the DPM is higher, in reality it's not, because DPM is based on the theory that every shell you fire goes through. It's a simple multiplication of number of shells fired by average damage. However, if those shells don't go through and they bounce, then the DPM decreases. And the top gun is more accurate, so effectively it gives higher DPM. At least that's been my experience playing it, so I'd recommend you use the higher rated gun with a longer barrel. It's far more accurate and does effectively more DPM. The gun handling on the tank is great, as you would expect with all German tanks. Relatively low dispersion, the aiming time is good. The depression is not great at 7 degrees, but you know, it's not so bad for German heavy. 15 degrees of elevation. Now, its mobility is actually strangely good. I find the tank strangely agile. There's 38 kilometers going forward, and you'll see in the game it actually gets around the map pretty well. So its speed belies its heavy armor profile and its size. Now, it has excellent frontal armor, really has, and you can be a top tier bully in this. You can push on, and it will bounce shots for you. Obviously, like most tanks, it's vulnerable at the rear and at the sides. But even the turret, if that's all it's facing, apart from that access hatch in the back, may actually bounce some shots for you. Now, look at this, front on. You can be a bully boy. This is against Tier 7s. Look at this. Even against Tier 8s, look at that front on. It is pretty impressive, and even against Tier 9s, it's not easy to pen. But against Tier 8s, you can really push forward. The only thing that's really vulnerable is the cupola on the top of the tank, so it can be pretty good front line. If you have the refined gun and supercharged, long range sniping is easy peasy in it, because that muzzle velocity is just phenomenal. Circle dead 1v1 brawl, all that stuff it says is not recommended, but in a 1v1 brawl this tank actually holds its own. It will bounce some shots for you, and it is, as I said, surprisingly agile. But in terms of the role that a heavy tank should play, and a heavy tank should be the spear tip, it should be punching through the enemy lines. The frontal armor in this tank allows you to do that, and allows it to be played really in classic heavy tank style. just looking at the armour again, it really is very, very good. So good armour, especially front on, very good gun, which is accurate, amazing muzzle velocity, and they're really the assets of this tank, plus surprising agility, which you may not have expected from it. So let's have a look at the gameplay. Now, we're in Alpenstadt, so everybody said here at the start, the dude says right in the pattern, so I'm going to go right, because I wanted to try support him, but obviously where we live in the world today, where there's alternative facts and stuff like that, alternative realities, left is the alt-right, seems to be the alternative right, so there you go. So we're going to the alternative right, which is left. So going into the city now, I mean, in this tank, going into the city is not a bad thing, because it is a side-scraping monster, and therefore where there's a lot of buildings and cover, it's perhaps its best natural environment for this tiger, because it allows it to side scrape. Now see here, I'm at an angle, so I actually bounced this shot. Again, it's that brilliant frontal armour. I just pivoted a little bit, make it a bit more difficult, got my bounce and put my round into the KV3, looking for another shot. Now what I decide to do is I'm going to push up, and I want to draw your attention here to something called mobile side scraping, at least that's what I call it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push past him using the speed of the tank to create an angle which effectively allows me to side scrape onto him. So let's have a look at that again. Let's slow it down. So I put my round into him here, big gun goes straight through even at the side. Now I'm pushing on, and then we get the bounce because I've effectively used the speed of the tank to create that angle where I'm effectively side scraping while moving. So something I just call mobile side scraping, and you can do that with this Tiger too because of its armor profile. You can do it with the E75, which is next up, and I have a video coming on that too. Actually, it's probably already uploaded, so you can have a look at that too. Now, what I decide to do here is a load of APCR, just because I want to be sure of the kill. I often do that when I'm onto a kill shot. And now I'm going to use the corpse of that KV3 to push up. Effectively, that's created new cover on the map for me. Again, APCR, short distance shot. I want to make sure that kill. And now I'm going to use the corpse of the KV3 to take out the other KV3. This is what I mean about the gun. Look at that, really accurate. I'm not giving him a shot. Back up, back up. I'm forcing him to pull out. Allows me to reload. I put another shot into him, and he has very, very tight angle to fire into because I'm using that corpse as cover. And he bounces, and then he gets taken out. He gets cleared by my teammate. Now we're in a relatively decent position, but unfortunately the other players in the team are not so good, and they and the T44 is actually a very good player. He's going to clear a couple of tanks here, so this KV3 is going to go. Now I throw caution to the wind here a little bit, because I know I need to push up to try to help my teammates. That KV3 is gone now. Now we're down to 4v3, and it's pretty soon we're going to lose another tank as well. I put one into him, use the armor, bounce. I know he's got a clip loaded, I do take one, but then he's on a long reload, so he's gone off. The spec here, I don't really know what he's been doing in the game. He seems to be all over the place to no great effect. You're going to see it jump here a bit. Why? Because I am constantly moving the turret. What I'm doing is I'm pre-aiming the gun, so when I come around a corner, I'm counteracting my slow turret speed to make sure the gun was aligned to him. Now I fluffed the shot here, but, and this is the thing about this tank, I have another round loaded, which is the front armor. The front armor is a constantly loaded round that never needs to be reloaded. So if you've got a medium or light tank on anything up to 200 hit points, you can take them out just with a ram and receive no damage yourself. By the way, if you're wondering what's going on here next, it's me trying to type on a phone. I find it extremely difficult, especially when I'm playing. On my way, I have no idea why that popped up. So I'm asking him to come with me. I don't want to go on my own because we are going to come up against a medium and a light tank, and I don't want to get isolated, so I want him to come with me, which he does. So he's good team play from him. So I'm going to push up and look for these guys. I'm staying in the city because I want to give myself a bit of cover. I don't want to get exposed out in the open, so I want to spot them up before I decide on the action plan. Now We have the T4485 Rudy here, so good gameplay is we're going to split, go either side of them, which is what you should do always when attacking an isolated tank, because there are very, very few tanks that have two guns and can face in two directions at the same time. So, and it doesn't matter, as I said before, how good a player you are. If you're attacked from both sides, you're probably going to lose. It doesn't matter how good you are, how super you come. If you're attacked from both sides simultaneously, you're going to get killed. Now, just draw your attention to how surprisingly agile the tank is. You see it moves around the map pretty well for a big tank. I'm using the gun here using that rock there to create a bit of side scraping angle as I move forward. I hit the fire button here by accident going up the hill. I don't know how I managed to do that. I made an absolute mess out of it. But eventually I recover, get the reload, and I'm able to track him, and then it's an easy kill for my colleague in the IS-3. So pretty good game, I thought. Got around the map pretty well, used the agility of the tank, used its gun, accuracy, bit of clever play, delivered a mastery badge. A lot of that down to the kills, the movement, and all the bounces as well. I've actually done a lot more damage in this tank and not received a mastery badge, but as we've said before, mastery badges are around other things you do, and it's based on XP rather than actual damage. So mastery badge, high caliber, master gunner, and that's the kind of stuff that delivered the mastery badge, along with all the bounces that I got during the game. So let's have a quick recap of the key points of the Tiger II. What are the salient points we should take away? It's a typical German heavy tank, great frontal armour, allows you to go front line to be the spearhead, which is the key role of a heavy tank. It has a great gun, which is very accurate. I found it a pleasure to play with, and it won't let you down. It's very reliable. You have lower alpha rolls compared to the Russians, the IS-3, the hated IS-6, etc. But to compensate for that, though, you do have a significantly faster reload, which is only 8.9 seconds if you use gun rammer, which I always do, because I always like to fire as many rounds as possible. If I ever get killed, I don't want it to be for a lack of shooting back. And the muzzle velocity is awesome. That 400 meters per second with supercharge is just amazing, and that makes long range shots easier. And if you use a refined gun, you're going to decrease and minimize the penetration loss over distance. It's a side scraping monster, both in fixed positions, and you can use the speed of the tank to push on targets and get that mobile side scraping going. Now, next in line is the E75, another monster of a tank and one I really like, but take your time getting there. Perfect your gameplay with the Tiger to play hundreds of games with it. Make sure you're proficient in that, and then when you're ready, move up to E75, because moving up to Tier 9, you're in with the big boys and you're going to need those skills. Thanks for watching. Cheers, Mush. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.